Great, thank you. Up next is Community Advisory Council, CAC appointment.
All right. Good evening, board members and Mr. Barnes. My name is Liz Hammon, and today marks my first appearance as the elected chair of the Community Advisory Council. Mark Covington is our vice chair. Matthew Von Smith is our second vice chair. Amrish Vyas is our new secretary, and our new policy chair, Andrea Stremmel, rounds out the team. We have not had our first membership meeting of the school year yet, but we did recently partner with the Office of School Planning to host a virtual community meeting about redistricting. We got really positive feedback from that, so we're going to look for other opportunities to periodically facilitate virtual info sessions on topics where virtual opportunities have not otherwise been provided. I'm proud to say we have representation on every policy review, work group, and advisory that we've been invited to except for one. Can't get anybody to take the bait on the renaming ARL work group, but everything else is covered. Let's see, skipped a part. I wanted to talk about something that is going to come up inevitably because it comes up every year. It's an opportunity where we are invited to come and speak to the multilingual parent leadership group. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they graduate sort of like two different groups every year, like in the fall and then in the spring. So when in the past I tried to really engage with them last year, we needed translation services for some of this stuff so that we could provide information about the CAC and what it did. And it was my understanding that we did not have access to HCPSS translation services, and that I think it's even in policy that we're not allowed to cost you guys any money. So I just wanted to put it out there that it would actually be really great if there was some sort of dispensation for like running copies of like little flyers or something, so we can go to those types of things. I actually went out into the community and solicited translations in Korean, Chinese, as well as Spanish, and I think the people who ended up coming back to me, they were 3-4 degrees removed, a friend of a friend of a friend. I think they all worked for HCPSS anyway, so it would be really helpful to just cut through all the hassle, and maybe there's a way we can work something out where we have like some access to that, and then we can be more inclusive of our multi-language communities. The other thing I was going to mention was, I'll be back 3 other times this year, and we'll have some more fleshed out advice for you all after we've done the policy reviews and after we've met and convened and everything. So today I just wanted to focus on sort of this idea of, how do I put this? I don't want to say dropping the ball on the 1-yard line, but we do so much good work here. And so there's so much deliberate good work. And I think that we need to tighten up our follow through. And I made a commitment that I would, if I was going to do this role, that I was going to hold people accountable, and I was going to come here and say the things and just take it on faith that nobody was going to be mad at me when I left. So hopefully that's the case, but I think that there have just been a number of examples where so much work and effort has gone into doing really, really tremendous things that I'm super proud of. Like, for example, last year and the year before, when we were hearing from the community about the need to address hate bias, hate crimes, things that weren't bullying because they didn't meet that criteria, but needed to be reported on. So there's a new infrastructure in place. The form is more inclusive now. There's more opportunities for that. We can track that better now. So I commend everybody who stepped up and responded to that. But if you go to any school's homepage right now, under resources, it just says report bullying, and then it links back to that form. One of the things that we talked to management about when this first started getting sorted was everyone's sort of been trained to understand what is meant by bullying, and how are people going to know. If you don't have a separate form or a separate process, how are people going to know that this is where they come to report anti-Semitism, or that this is where they come to report Islamophobia, or whatever it may be, an isolated incident. And we were assured that it will be communicated across the board, everyone will understand, it'll be crystal clear. We're going to change the narrative around that, you know, and so as recently as like 5 minutes ago, I looked and it just still says report bullying. So, you know, that's a nitpicky example, and I'm, you know, here to, I guess, tell you most of my examples will be, and I think that that's really, really important. The other thing, I was disappointed after the first week of school to hear that a lot of effort was made to make prayer space available to students in schools, and then the students at the schools didn't know where to go. They were getting lost, they didn't know what room it was in, or what the protocol was for being excused from class so that they could go and have those religious observances. And so, like, again, all the effort goes into making it an inclusive, welcoming space, and then when it's time, you know, for it to happen, where's the plan? Where's the, you know, the communication? I think it's another example that, you know, may seem like it's so small or insignificant, but I think it's indicative of sort of like where's that last step coming in? And then the last thing I wanted to highlight is, and this is a larger issue, not a nitpicky thing. You know, when we're looking at, we talk about wanting to support our schools and our students who are food insecure, students who need mental health services, and there's a lot of emphasis on how important that is, and I fully agree. And I actually am quite proud of Howard County Public Schools. I think we do a really, really, really good job of highlighting those things and providing a lot of supports and services. However, they don't amount to anything if the child cannot get into the building. And so for whatever reason, we have chronic absenteeism issues that are a barrier between a child and receiving, you know, food, receiving assistance at school, all those things. If they're not there, we have an issue. And at what point, you know, can we be creative about no longer having these cookie cutter policies where, okay, we have an attendant, non-transportation zone that this is the policy, and so for middle schools, it's this. You know, just a cursory look at attendance data will show you that we have a middle school, and I won't get into which ones, but if you want to talk afterwards, I'll tell you which ones they are, but you have access to the same data I have. One middle school has almost 40% of the students have missed more than 20 days of school last year. Other middle schools have fewer than 5% of their students missed more than 20 days of school last year. Oh, at what point are we like, maybe the non-transportation zone idea for the school where 40% of the kids have missed more than 20 days is not working for this population? Like, if they're, I know you guys don't really love grant money because it, you know, mucks up the operating budget and everything, but it would be worth it to look at a pilot or something. One of our people will apply for it if you want. Whatever we can do, I think that it's high time that we actually start looking at doing school transportation differently and making sure that in areas where, you know, almost half of the kids are just not coming, that we are making every single effort to remove every barrier possible, getting them from their front door to the school building's front door. Let's see. That's where I'm going to leave it right now. I'm going to want to talk about it again when I come back. Before I became chair of the CAC, I was an executive board member in other roles and did education advocacy in other spaces. These experiences allowed me to get to know HCPSS very well. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that here with Superintendent Bill Barnes, in conjunction with all of you, that we have a major opportunity to do a lot of stuff. I have no desire to deify anyone, obviously. But this BOE, this Board of Ed, is a solid group. And this superintendent's team and senior management, this is a solid group. And it might be just about as solid as it gets. So I don't want anybody to miss the miracle or wait for something better to come around, because I think this is the time. I think this is the moment to do the good work and push forward. We have a really great mix of institutional knowledge and fresh perspectives. Innovation and creativity are being welcomed now, and transparency is much more readily available. There's been a sea change, and I think that we gotta ride the wave. So I would implore all of you, just please make the most of this moment. You know, there's going to be misunderstandings. But there's more than enough common ground in this whole, all of you, to overcome all of that and really, really do some bold, cool things here in HCPSS. And let us know what we can do to support that. And that concludes my pep talk today.
Thank you. Ms. McCoy?
First of all, thank you for stepping up. I'm excited that you're in a leadership role and that we'll be hearing from you all and what contributions you have to help the system better. And so I want to go to the place where you left off with the middle school absenteeism. I just have been back and forth with our transportation department about the fact that we are busing students who are actually a stone's throw away from their school because there's a road in between. And we're not talking about Snowden River Parkway. We're talking about a road like Tamar Drive, right? And those students are not walking to school because there are no crossing guards. And so we've got students who are not coming to school because they've got over a mile to walk, and they have whatever their issues are keeping them from coming to school. And so we're providing excuses because transportation might be the number one issue. And so my question is, how can we help our system? Because I was told, well, crossing guards come from the police department. I don't understand why the police department are providing crossing guards when I was in school, which was 100 years ago, we had parent volunteers, or they gave parents a stipend to be safety patrol or crossing guards, and we had students who were safety patrol
They still
people.
do that in Frederick County.
Yeah, so I don't understand why we are spending depleting dollars for transporting students who can walk. And I mean, a healthy, safe walk with the help of just getting them across one street, right? We're not talking multiple streets. We're talking one road. And I'm sure that's all through our system. While we have kids who are, a mile or so away, who are not being given any consideration when they're already struggling because because of our walk policy. No one cares about the walk policy when it comes to kids across the street. I'm just totally baffled. So I'll stop there. But if you all can come up with some kind of idea, do we need to appeal to the county council, whoever made this rule up about the police have to do the crossing of the roads? It makes no sense to me. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Ms. Chambly?
I want to say it's so glad to see you, and I know the CAC is lucky to have you, and I appreciated what you had to say today. I'd love to know that middle school name, so let's reconnect later. You'll be heartened to know that the chair of the board asked for people to help with the absentee issue this year, and I signed up, and I have a meeting tomorrow with some principals to see what I can do. And another idea we've been batting around was in the communities where there is high absenteeism, if the bus that drops off the first round of kids doesn't have to run off to another school, maybe they can turn around and pick up some of those kids who can't get to school on time. So we have some ideas kicking around, and I'm heartened to see that we'll have a chance to talk about some more and to see what kind of dent we can make in those numbers. Because if you can't get a kid to school, then everything else we're worried about, their performance, their safety, their well-being, their food, all those other things we're worried about, they fall off the radar screen. So I agree, getting them to school is job one, and I hope we can work together to make that happen. Thank you.
Dr. Chen?
Thank you, Liz, for reporting. I think one thing you talk about the two schools very close together. One is 5%, another one is 50 students.
They're not close together, but yes.
Okay.
They're both in Howard County.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because in the school year we changed the policy. We try to return to the similar, non-transportation area. So the data you have, it's this year or is it last year?
So actually, I mean, I took a cursory look at everything from since COVID, and the trend is just that we have a lot of middle schools where we have a significantly high number of students that miss more than 20 days, which is more severe than chronically absent, because chronically absent is more than 10 days. So, I mean, we're talking about the most severe form of absenteeism, and that I don't even know where the 20 ends, just to be clear. That really could mean that a lot of those kids that hit that more than 20 threshold might have missed 50 days, but it doesn't break it down that way for me. So, and when we have a lot of middle schools where it's really, really low, like there's high attendance all around. I mean, you can look at it from a million different ways, socioeconomic breakdown or whatever, but it stands to reason that, you know, we make every effort to accommodate and support anybody who's struggling at school, that getting them there would be like step one.
Yeah. I think, you know, that's the top of the 5 focus area, right? So that's why we emphasize. But this is not just our school system, it's national-wide. It's after COVID. I read an article about that. I forgot the exact detail, but it's a lot of factors. I think definitely transportation will be, but the well-being, the belonging at the school, and how make the students feel excited coming to school. I think it's just a lot of factors. I think but from school side, definitely we try to, how can we take measures to make sure students can go to school, remove the barrier. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think we have an opportunity to be leaders in whatever field we decide we want to be leaders in, whatever area. There's a lot of national trends, a lot of post-COVID issues that are lingering. So I would love to see us come up at the forefront of tackling one of these issues and be change makers.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you. Highlight the issue. Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Watts?
Thank you for coming, and thank you for that was high praise. I don't know if people realize, like, the things you said about the leadership and the board is extremely high praise, and it's something honestly I believe in as well. Yeah, we've got a lot of like new life, new energy, like just kind of being breathed into leadership roles as well. I do want to I'm all for out of box ideas. You know this, right? I love looking at other school systems. There's a tendency, I feel like, in Howard County for us not to look anywhere else but Howard County. But I do think we have to. Like, there's other people that are starting to chip away at these issues that we have. So I would encourage you guys to bring the information, and usually, you know, Bill gives access to his people, right? So if you want to send the ideas to, I've given transportation, I think, all the ideas I have in me, but like, if, you know, if there's ideas that you guys have, if there's data, and I actually was going to ask you for the written version of your testimony.
Sure.
with the, it's just helpful for me to be able to read it. In any kind of like advocacy that you want to do with the police department, and legal is going to check about whether that's a thing we have to have, or it's just something we've always done because we've always done it, right? I also want to encourage you, and I'll say this for OBRC too, is to, if there are some focus areas for your board, to focus in on those, because we do have a lot, like I want us to be able to solve problems, right? And when we are kind of scattered and like hitting little things here and there, I mean, you got to be able to do little things right also, right? That's important. But if there are like 3 or 5 goals that you guys are leaning into in terms of the 5 focus areas or the strategic plan that we could all kind of be working towards, like, together, it'd be a huge help, right? Like, if you guys are saying that you want to do absenteeism, like, as one of your things that you're looking into, and all the things that impact absenteeism, and just like bring those ideas and hammer us with those
Challenge
ideas.
accepted.
Thank you. And I believe you, right? Like, I like, we just want solutions. Like, we are looking to see what we can do, what we do with like limited dollars, and I just want everybody that's reporting to the board, the superintendent, to be focused, like laser focused, as if it is, our kids cannot wait, right? Like I want people to be focused in that way. So I thank you for bringing this forward, and the advocacy that you are bringing as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.